Alright folks, live stream is live again. I don't know if anyone will be on this time of the day, but I figured I'd get myself another run through. See how it goes. I'll be playing for around about an hour or two again, and then later on, depending on what I can do, we'll maybe see if we can fire up a little bit more of Cold Waters. I'm just waiting on DCS to load up, and while I do that, I'm going to get myself properly attired. Actually, wrong. Yeah, no, that's the right one. Almost thought I had the wrong hat for a second. Don't know why. Okay, so there we go. All systems are up. Okay, so let's go on to another round multiplayer campaign and see if we can find ourselves hopefully a slightly quieter server. There's a few Harrier slots here, let's give them a shot. Hey Olaf. Hey Phoenix. I can't quite remember which server I'm on. Sorry for the late replies, I'm still catching up on messages. I think it was the Sierra Hotel server, but I guess when I get connected I'll do a little check for you. Well, if it's very short amount of time. So far, I like what I see, but I don't know enough about what I'm seeing to tell you how accurate it is or how good it is to fly for people who are new to it. Overall, I'd recommend it, but having only played for it with less than a couple of hours, I don't want people to go out and rush out and buy it based on my recommendation alone. However, I'm quite happy for people to look at my stream, look at my archived recordings, and judge for themselves. Uh, I'll do my best to answer questions, but I've been playing it for less than 3 or 4 hours. I would probably not be in a position where I could confidently say, yes, I can do this, yes, I can do that. It's also an early access game, so not all the features are fully there. For example, the targeting pod, I'm led to believe, is a little fruity, it's a little buggy, and it's not feature complete. But it's the first day of an early access platform. I expected all those kind of things. There's nothing that makes me think this is not going to be a good sim, put it that way. And if this is how Razbam do their work, I'm feeling very hopeful for the fact that they're doing the A7, the A6, and other aircraft down the line. So, so far, I'm very happy with what has turned up. Sadly for me, the loading times are ridiculously long, but this is a feature endemic to DCS in general for me. The first load takes pack-a-lunch forever. It's just ridiculous. I've been known to go make myself a cup of tea and come back and it's ready and waiting. But that's just me, I guess. Fortunately, I'm a patient person, so that's okay. Phoenix, I see you're going to have to wait for next week until you get the module. Be aware it'll be back up to full price by that time if you haven't bought it already. If you've already got it but you just haven't had the chance to install it yet, you can use open beta and install it anytime. You're pretty much set for it. So what's the name of this server again? Oh, it doesn't matter. I got booted. I think Sierra Hotel will probably be the one I want. Yeah, we'll go with this. We'll go with that one. Actually, Raven's test seems quieter, and quieter is good because quieter means less activity and less crashing and freezing. There's a lot of smoke and debris on the ones. Jules, I believe that is the full price. $69.99 was the full listed price. I paid $39.99, I think, or $49.99. It came to like £34 on my statement for my credit card, so I'm going to say $49. It was like $20, $15-20 off the list price. So $69 is the full amount. Jules, they said that the discounted price was only up until launch, so if you paid for it at $49 and got it on launch day, then you did good before they changed the price. I knew they'd have had the prices changed by this time next morning. I just knew that. I expected that. Look at the Harrier slots they've filled up. They are not stupid. They know exactly what's going to happen. Everyone else gets to fly on the other side of the map, away from all the Harriers crashing. Alright, I'm not going to take off from a carrier because I am not confident enough in my capabilities to do so. We will go for this one at Kataisi because it's away from all the other aircraft and all the other airfields. So this is the Ravens server for those who care enough. Let me just reset track IR. Doof. Now loading. There we go. Okay. Excellent. So let's grab the standard issue loadout that I love, which is an ECM pod and a gun pod at the bottom. And nice one, Jules. Yeah, it'll come around eventually. I think this time I'm going to bring myself some rockets because I hear that they are fun. And I also understand and have learned that having symmetric loadouts is highly recommended for the very simple reason that this thing is not very stable in asymmetric loadouts. The trim is ridiculous. So we'll go with that. I will carry myself one aim 9 and one sidearm because I would like to try my hand at shooting some radar down, but I also want to try my hand at some sidewinder action. And we will pick VMA 311 because I have no idea who they are and I haven't seen their one yet. See, it's nice and quiet here. We don't have to worry about all the engine noise because I'm the only guy on this airfield. I have pretty much an entire airfield to myself apart from, this guy down here? That's a Tunguska, so yeah, no big deal. Okay, so we have 2 sets of rocket pods, 2 pairs of rock eyes, 1 sidewinder and 1 aim 9. With that being said, let's load up the plane. So I've got the startup a little bit more figured out. The throttle I'm still finding the throttle just a little bit finicky, but overall I can deal with it. Just do a quick check, make sure yes it's remembered my controls, that's fine. So step 1, you need fuel in the bird, so enable the master fuel, and you also want to make sure you don't forget the switch called DCS. This is basically how it handles your engine, stops it from going beyond idle when you pull the throttle back. We will also need power, so what I will do first of all is I will ask for left control C there to close the canopy because I haven't found the buttons to click the canopy for closing it yet. And I will push that's already pushed forward for me, so that's it locked. Awesome sauce. Okay, so first of all we need power, so right click for the battery and right click for the generator. Oh no, actually not for the generator yet. Right click for the APU generator. I'm going to turn on some instrument lighting so I can read. Yes, I know, the APU is just powered on. Generators are not on yet. They are now. So, as soon as I pull the engine start, the APU switches itself off, which I don't entirely understand. I don't know if that's a glitch or if that's a feature. But it doesn't affect the ramp start. But I need to turn our oxygen on as well. Okay, so I just pressed right control and T for the throttle idle, which brings it forward for us and lets the engine spool up. What I need also to do, and it's just behind the throttle, is I need to throw the parking brake on. And I've just advanced the throttle just a crack, not enough to move the Harrier, but just enough to get speed up. Once it gets past 300, I then am going to right Windows button and press T again to lock the throttle idle tent. And now when I pull back on the stick, my throttle stays idle because the DECM stops me from switching the throttle down. Next we are going to throw on our stability system, so yaw enabled, roll enabled, pitch enabled, and this one for RPS yaw. Q feel, which is more stability augmentation. I don't want altitude hold because I don't want to be stuck on the ground, so AFC, which is that's the name of the flight controller system. Basically it's your stability augmentation system. Oh, and before I forget and we run out, I need fuel, so right click on the pumps, left and right. And right click on the fuel proportionate to make sure that the fuel is automatically provided from any of the tanks. So what happens now is the inbuilt computer is now going to work out what is the best place to send fuel from, like the left tank, the right tank, the forward tank, so on. Right, left click on the compass for compass lighting, so you can see so you can find your compass and see where you're going. Your compass is... Where is your compass actually? Good point. It's there somewhere. I'll find it in a moment. Now next, I turn up the HUD brightness. We turn on our MFDs. And for personal taste, I like to turn on the brightness for the side panel here. Right click on the RWR, right click on this button here for automatic for the decoy dispenser, and we'll set that to up. And then standby, we'll put the ECM in our standby mode so that it's not actually turned on. Upper right, canopy rail compass. Upper right, upper right, upper right. Ah, upper left, there we are. That's the canopy, that's the compass light there. Thanks, Basher. Oliver, I will probably not meet my baker with Martin Baker, because I will, thankfully, you've just reminded me to, I'll go ahead and enable the seat. No big deal, Basher. You know about as much of this module as I do. You probably know more anyway. The fact that you knew where to even look is an improvement over me. And we'll turn on the DMT. Click. And we will align to INS ground. Now, in the early access model, the INS is not aligned, aligns automatically, but I'm going to put myself into the habit of just getting it done right. So stores are personal taste here, stores on the left hand, and HSD on the right. Awesome sauce. Now, that is the aircraft basically started. I can then select the external hardpoints for these ones here, and that would be my rock eyes. And they're not armed at the moment for obvious reasons because I'm on the ground, it's like a ground safety. I can also select the inboard stations, and that lets me select the rockets. I have 19 in each rail, and you'd be presumably firing them in pairs anyway. How many do I have? I have 4. Set the interval to 30 milliseconds, and we'll drop them in multiples of 2. The fuse is set to norm because it's not relevant for a... The fuses are preset on rockeyes. They cut off 4 seconds after leaving the rail. And we will use CCIP because I'm familiar with that system. At least I think I am. Turn on the flaps. They are set to automatic mode, so I set them to 25. Now I could do a stall takeoff and just right click on that and bring it down. Oh no, that's left click. Cruise forces them up. Stall forces them down. That's it. You can also turn on your water for landing and takeoff, but I would only ever do that just beforehand because it will burn ridiculous amounts. Now then, that's the basic startup. Small formalities. Here is your bingo calculator. You can manually set your own bingo. As a rule of thumb, I'm going to set mine to £2,000, which is leaves me about a quarter of a tank. If I'm miles away from the airbase and a quarter of a tank, I need to find a tanker. If that's not the case, it's time to fly really high and glide our way in. Let's turn the lights on, anti-collision and auxiliaries. And the external lights are going to be set to norm. We'll turn on our formation lights. And we won't be touching fuel dumps. Okay, and that being the case, we are ramp started. So as you can see, the overall ramp starting procedure is relatively simple, and if you've ever done a ramp start on anything that's DCS or BMS specification, you'll be fairly familiar with a lot of it. Everything else is just taste. You can set up your comms panel, for example. Speaking of which, let's turn on what is effectively their version of the IFC, and I'll just tune that to channel 1 and 1 for each item because I don't know which one does which. So I've got 2 master caution ones, one for each row of fault lights. your nice little touch here is that your floodlights, you can adjust them as seen fit. So you could for the reason why you would do this is you would perhaps want your floodlights turned away from your MFDs or not at full brightness on your MFDs so that you don't wash them out with your night vision goggles, which is really handy. Anyway, so with that being said, we're way too heavy and way too fat with all this ordnance to do a vertical takeoff. So we're not gonna. We are going to just quickly sanity check this here. Looks good. Feels good. Alright, we're going to just advance the throttle ever so slightly. And as the RPMs come up and the jet turbine comes up to temperature, I'm just increasing there, and now we've got the fuel flow. That's the one going up from 58 to 59.60. And I tend to find that with a jet this heavy, a fuel flow of about 55 to 60 seems to help you start moving off the rail. You'll find that once you get moving, it does build momentum quite quickly. So you will find yourself throwing the throttle forward to get rolling and then hauling it back a little bit once you are done moving, if you will. Now, if you just use the rudder right now as it is, you do get a small turn. If you need a tighter turn, you can hold down the nose wheel steer button and really crank it around. It's like a high speed and a low speed. You can see on the throttle when I'm pressing it, NWS in the bottom right corner of the HUD there. Jules, that is just a static model. That is the AN2 Colt, which is something that's still in service, believe it or not. North Korea uses them, or is supposedly able to use them for. Oh, I will. Don't worry. DCS in DCS, or they also feature in BMS as well. The AN2 Colt is a troop carrier. It's actually designed for low altitude special forces insertions. Yes, that's your anti-skid. So you can go on the casters, which means, conventionally speaking, it's not powered. Jules, I may be an encyclopedia of knowledge for aircraft, but my entire childhood memories are gone. Choose your battles. I am the reason why. I am the exact case in point of having too much knowledge on any one item. I am proof that you can in fact know too much about stuff. Okay, so we're now in casters mode, as Basher's just pointed out, which is really cool actually. So in casters mode, using the rudder does the sum of fuck all. Now Gavin, I need a life and a social. Alright, we're going to stomp on the brakes. We're going to cut power, because the brakes are weak sauce in the Harrier. Oh, I've been riding the brakes this whole time. Wow, they're actually inverted. I need to fix that in my keybinds, but that's fine because it's probably easier than me. So you can see by my toe brakes that when I'll tell you, like, my feet are off the pedals right now, and now they're on. So I'm actually going to need to invert my rudder axes, but that's not a massive drama. Because to be perfectly honest, the way I fly, I would probably want and get finer control taking my feet off than on. So I might just actually stick with this for a little while, just to see how it works. Okay, so nice empty server, nice empty airfield. Okay, so we've got the flaps set to stall, which is short takeoff landing. I've got the brakes on, so I can build some power up. And brakes are off. Throttles to the wall. Going to gently pull the stick back. Oh, and we're going to pull the nozzles up a bit. Whoa! She leaps after about 20 to 30 degrees nozzle. And gear up. We're going to push the throttle slightly forward. And we're going to put the flaps back into the automatic mode. I'm countering with a little bit of trim for the pitch up moment that I'm having. And then we're just going to hit the nav button there to get conventional symbology so that I'm not getting a whole bunch of rubbish I don't need to see for vertical takeoff and landing, because I'm not flying vertical right now. I know, right? Take off. Now watch me fail horribly at landing. Alright, so let me give you a quick test of how this thing can pull. So back on the stick, we're at 1G, Mach 0.7, and I'm going to haul on the stick and see what we can do. Let's get this up. And up we go. It actually tells me max G 6.0, so I cannot pull more than that. I think the controllers actually limit the G for me, which is really nice. 60 degrees, and I'm not pitching up. The engine seems to want to do that as well, so I'm just going to counter that by rolling upside down and bringing the engine and allowing the engine to fall. Just pulling back gently on the stick and controlling that. There we go, and reset the roll. Doesn't have an amazing roll rate compared to what I'm used to with other jets, and you guys might be seeing a little bit of an FPS stutter. It's not as bad on my end. That is an artifact from having to render in display mode, so I do apologise if it's not the neatest or the tidiest for you. We have some friendly aircraft over in the next airbase over there, so that's a thing. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize OBS, and hopefully that means it's not rendering two images at once, and hopefully you'll have a bit more of a smoother stream. You guys will have to let me know how the stream is doing in terms of health, because I'm not paying attention to it right now. I'm too busy. I can't view the stream and play at the same time, I'm afraid. Okay, dokie. Time to tidy the plane up. We don't need our auxiliary lighting because it's daylight. And I'm going to switch the external lighting to the off mode. There's not really much else in terms of cleanup to do. I don't know what this engine RPM selector high and low means. I would presumably want higher RPMs when I'm flying, but doesn't strike me as a good idea. Now, running the Harrier at maximum temperature is not considered a good idea. So sometimes you will find that you might get a JPT, that's the temperature of the jet. You can see as I'm getting up into the clouds at 10,000 feet, the temperature is coming down even at full tilt. So I'm now at a point now where I don't have to worry about how hard or hot I'm running the engine now, which is handy. Now, I'm hearing beeps, and you're wondering, whoa, that must be the RWR, I need to check it, right? Well, to check the RWR, we need to give up one of our MFDs. So, I don't need to see my stores right now. Let's bring up EW. And sure enough, I have an A50, the mainstay, that's back to my right. And up ahead into the 1 o'clock position, I have an E3, so that's search radars. The A10 Harrier is able to actually categorize that for me. The RWR is fairly conventional. See, I've got SA6s and I've got an SA6 to my 6 o'clock. Presumably, it's probably going to be the one guarding this base. So, it's a blue 4-1. So I'm not going to engage it. I don't think we have a. However, I don't know if we've got. We do have a weapons range. Fantastic. So we're going to start heading over to Batumi and see what we can do out there. Right now, I'm heading northeast. 060. Yep. So we're going to take a heading west here. And this thing loves to wing right over its It's got a very nice gradual turn, especially fully loaded. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, because even at full speed, we're still faster than the A10, so things happen much more quickly. Now, I don't know if it's because it's training mode or whatever, but the mission maker has turned on labels, so you're going to see little blue dots show up on my screen. I don't have labels deliberately enabled, but I suspect they're doing this in an effort to help me with my training, help me look out and identify friendly contacts. It doesn't give me a description, it just gives me a dot. So it's I think this is the script that they used to use before enhanced vision mode came in. And I'm just making trim adjustments because she seems to want to twist left and right a little. Okay, let's have a quick review of our sensors. So we're going to hit the menu button on our HCI there. And we've got DMT, which is the built-in targeting pod sort of system. It's not exactly a targeting pod, I would say, but you can basically point it at the flight path marker. So right now it's looking here, and you can see that that's what it sees. It's a good way. It's not really directable as far as I can tell. You basically just press and point. You're not really looking. You press the station select button on your left shift F10 to turn them on and off. Can't see any labels, so I can't verify that. There we go. Left shift F10 does indeed turn them off. Thank you, Gavin. So yeah, if I want to scope out, well, I can see over there in the corner a big bright spot. Let's go point the. So how I would, at the moment, until I find a better way to do it, what I would do is I would take my flight path marker and I would just point it in the general direction of what I want to look at. And I'm looking at the screen now instead of anything else. Yeah, so you see that bright spot on the ground? That's a very big explosion. So I've anchored onto that there. Not sure exactly what that is. So let's go to narrow focus mode. That's not working. Okay, so we're going to then bring up the FLIR. Now, I'm told to get the FLIR working, you have to turn this into night mode, which is the right click mode, and then you turn up the brightness as desired here, and then you hit the button that says HUD. HUD mode selected. It's not working. If there's a better way of doing it and I'm missing something, please get in touch and tell me. I'm probably doing something stupid. So we're seeing an awful lot of smoke points there, so I'm guessing people have been deploying flares or something. I'm going to chop the throttle back a little bit because I'm going in real quick right now. Oh, there we go. So I just pressed the display mode button selector. That's hot. I like that. Ghost Dog approves. Okay, so let's go switch these hot. Stores. Rockeye selected. I've got 4 on the pipe. Yes, the night flight does actually work, which makes me a very happy person. So combat mode set. Okay, so we're going to break off there and retire that run now that I've got the switchology hopefully a little bit better set. Let's select the outboard stations here. One thing I do notice is that there's a little bit of jagginess and a little bit of desync on the HUD when I'm flying. Mechless, I'm not entirely sure if it can or not, but what I do know is that this mode is definitely not being kind to my frames per second, so I'm going to turn it off for the moment. But I also happen to know there's a lot of people taking off and landing and crashing and exploding, so I'm willing to cut this a lot of slack right now because I have a sneaking suspicion this server is overloaded a little, shall we say. Now you'll notice the EHCI there had a dot there on the map there, telling me where I need to point myself so that I can... Oh, hang on a minute. Did I not bring my landing gear in? Well, that was dumb. So you see there it's flying, it's shooting flares out like a motherfucker. And I've realised the last thing I forgot was the air to ground mode. I'm an idiot. So you see that arrows pointing around telling me where I need to point my nose for the target. I'm going to throw the throttle a little higher. It's going to run a little hot for a little while, but it will be worth it. Because I need some altitude. Okay, so mode 1. So right now I think I'm actually using the selectors. Okay, so let's see what happens next. Weapons armed, stations selected, I think. Let's roll in. We're getting this out of automatic mode because that is useless for me. CCIP. We are then going to roll in on that smoke target now. Let's see what we can do. Turn it a bit better. Okay, so you can see that island there which has a flare dispenser falling out of it. So we are going to crack our nose at the target there, and we can see it clear as day. Now, if there's a way of making small adjustments, I don't know what it is. So I am going to click again. Oops, that's not the button I want. There we go. This is a very strange setup, this. I don't understand it. I'm doing something wrong with my weapons, and I can't figure out what. I need an adult. Well, let's put the INS into nav. Maybe that will cause us less issues. Rolling in on gun run, apparently. Didn't ask for a gun run, but apparently we're getting one. And off try, because that did not work. Because I, like an idiot, have no clue what I'm doing. I don't need a manual deployment mode. Hardcore is a very accurate sim. I have no idea how to use the weapons management system. Yeah, thanks, Nicholas. Need a guy in the back. Let's try rockets. Do we have rockets selected? I don't know. It's DCS, so it's and it's Razbam. It's going to be a complicated jet, and I'm probably going to be kicking myself for missing one very single and very likely to be an annoying procedure. I'll be doing something really retarded and dumb. I won't have turned on the hard points or something like that. But if anyone knows the answers to why I can't drop bombs, that would be stellar. I was expecting a fall line or... The target designator items, you know, for directing the pointer. I was expecting to be able to fine tune this a little. Overheating. So we're going to get the temperature down a bit because I'm glowing red hot apparently. And I'm hitting bingo. I'm going to do something you're not really meant to do, just change the bingo. Probably a little column A and a little column B there, Michaelis. Okay, so I'm not rolling in on a gun run. Like, you can ignore me. But what I would like is to get rid of these 4 dashed lines. Ineffective pass. Yes, I noticed. Thank you, Captain Obvious. Hey. Weapons function selector. What does that do? Okay. That's the guns. That's the right. That's the shortcuts for dogfight mode, basically. So I don't need that. Mike, how would I do that? Because it's not something I normally get asked for, if I'm being honest. Bear with me a moment, guys. I'm good. Oh, I hate having to leave the pit halfway through things, but the real life called. And I'm getting fuel lights. Yes, dear. Okay, let's try this one more time. Okay, so I think that is just a thought. I think I may have rockets prepared. Nope, that's the gun. That's a start. Alright, I'm bingo now, I get it. Time to hunt. Time to find a base. Let's head north. Wow, they're getting hot. That's cool. Also start glowing red if you're going a little toasty. Yes, Nicholas, that does work indeed. What I'm trying to do now is just practice a little bit of landing though, so 31 X-ray. Takan. 2-1. Transmit receive X-ray. Enter. Didn't do what I was expecting, but once again, lots and lots of beta-ness. Right, runway's in sight anyway. There's the runway. We're going to throw the throttle back. I'm going to cut to this here still position. What am I doing for fuel? £500? Well, it's lower than I'd like, but I've dealt with worse.
Landing gear, landing gear.
Gears out.
Landing gear, landing gear. Landing gear, landing gear.
This is not going to end well. Yes, there is Nicholas. Well predicted. Boggenmill, the problem is my OBS recording does not like DCS. I can't record in game capture mode because it breaks, and DCS World does not like display capture. So that's a thing. We'll try to put on game capture mode because it is much more stable. But ooh, I just updated it, you see. That's nice. Ghost Dog approves of the latest OBS update. Alright, I'm going to carry a lot less ordnance this time in the ring because I'm clearly going to be spending far too much time futzing about with it. So, Give me a couple of sidearms for air-to-air radar. Bogomil, if there is, I haven't read them. But to be perfectly honest, if there was, and even if there was, I probably wouldn't read them. Just the way I'm inclined. And now, it is also the very distinct possibility is the rock eyes that are the problem. So, in the interest of fairness, I'm going to pick a slightly different loadout. I'm going to bring some snake eyes, because low altitude, one pass, haul ass, dropping snake eyes, it's just the way I roll. That's just how I'm wired. And rockets wise, yes, let's give me some Zuni rockets. Let's do this old school. Prep them up that way. Pick that one there. Mavericks. You can do Mavericks. I haven't learned how to use Mavericks. I'm told they're much easier than in the A10. That remains to be seen. Digital, it's literally day one of release. Once Chuck puts out his weapon guides, I will read it profusely, and every single one of us will be much the wiser for it. The man is a gentleman and a scholar. Okay. So let's just get trachea reset. Alright, I got Maverick, I got sidearms, I got snake eyes, and I got Zunies. I am good to go. Let's ramp this bitch. So, fuel, DCS, and oxygen, all important. Let's turn on the pumps this time, because I did forget to do that last time. Turn on the lights so that when the batteries go on, everyone knows to stay the fuck away from me. There we go, and let's turn on the generator, and let's get the APU up. Once that's up and running, secret and safety, yes, gone. Go. Let's get the engine starting to go. There we go. Lock this canopy. Dunk. And right Windows key and T for Tango for the throttle idle to 10. Shift that forward. Shift the parking brake even further forward. Right Windows T again to release the idle to 10, and then you can pull the stick back. Now, if you do that and you lose engine power, you've forgotten your DCS. That's the simplest way to put it. While we're waiting on that, let's pull the stick out of the way and turn on FLIR. Let's give me a valid alignment and turn on DMT for the shits of it all. Let's see. Ooh, no. Dual processor switch was in the auto position instead of alternate. I wonder if I screwed something up there. Okay, that's the only thing I haven't done yet. Nose wheel button. The nose wheel steering button traditionally is located on the pit. Wouldn't be surprised if it was one of these guys. It's probably this guy actually, but I have it bound. Because the nose wheel steer button is what you use to unselect targets as well. It's like it's a very strange combination. Now, the only thing I didn't do the last time was turn on my major mode computer. So I'm hoping that that is going to do all my calculations for bombs. Otherwise, I will officially be out of ideas. Let's turn on the instrument panel and the console lighting, and of course, the warning and caution lights, so that I don't have any nasty surprises this time round. Flaps are set automatically. I'll not turn on the high speed NWS because I don't need it. Well, actually I might, so we'll leave that for now. Get the stabilizers on because they are amazing. They actually do a really good job. Make the plane a lot easier to fly. And color good. So while that's happened, I will set this to the nav mode because I'm leaving nothing to chance there. Actually, you know what I'm going to do now? Because that's starting to piss me off. I'm going to make some quick adjustments to my axes and reverse my wheel brakes because that is dumb. Invert, thank you. Okay. There we go, much more like it. See, I'm beginning to think rock eyes are broken because they don't come up as described in the thing this. Like I've got sidearms, I've got 82s, I've got rockets. Rock eyes never showed up in the listing there, so I'm beginning to think that perhaps that's the problem. I've been trying to use my favorite weapon, my favorite cluster munition, and it's not modeled yet, which would suck, but I can live with that. It's not a major deal breaker as long as they do eventually make their way over. Oh, Nero's been on. Nero's one of my boys at UOF. He's awesome. He's been messing around with the Harrier as well. So it'd be good to see him online because he is an absolute beast at learning these things. If he's figured out what I figured out, then he's already doing it. Like, he's always a step ahead of me, man. He's just fantastic. A lot of people seem to think I'm a fountain of knowledge. I'm just standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, these guys are pros. I shit you not. They're just awesome. Okay, so let's get this thing turned. See, it's going to be fun telling everyone in the DCS servers that they can't take off of taxiways on the Harriers because we're freaking designed to do that, man. We're designed to take off of short and small prepared areas. That being said, I am going to dial it back a bit. See the target zone over there, so this should be interesting. Okay, so we're about halfway along either side. This will get very interesting very quickly. Right, brakes are on. Stall mode engaged. Okay, so throw the throttle up. Casters on. No longer riding the brakes. I'm gonna throw the nozzles to 40 degrees and just watch her leap in the air. That's insanity. I love that. That is never gonna get old. I can take off of like what, 3 or 4, like 1 or 2 Harrier lengths, and then oh no! Don't you dare crash! Don't you dare lag! Bad, bad DCS. Right, nav mode engaged. Okay, let me get some weapons configured here. First of all, let's get my flare enabled. Okay, so I've figured out flare. That's sweet. And I approve of this. DMT. It would be cool if there was a way to change this to night mode. But that ain't gonna happen apparently. Sucks to be me. Okay. Tau Gaming. Wow, he's logged in the Harrier. He's once again just like every time I see him, he's awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be wait until I'm a little bit more proficient with the Harrier before I can do it, but I can confirm it's a fun little neat trick. There, Nicholas. Okay, I can pull a maximum G of 6.1 according to this now. So this loadout is a little bit more plane friendly, shall we say. Combat loadouts set. Let's do the rockets first. Let's get them prepped up. Huh? What do you say? Air to ground mode enabled. There's the four slanted lines of doom to tell me I fucked things up. You politely telling me that I suck and I can't work this. Okay, so this needs to be in the off position, it looks like. And then I can select these buttons at the top here for weapons. Yes, figured it out. Okay, I'm feeling a little smarter than the average bear right now. Let's give this a shot. Might as well turn the flare off right now. Oop. Let's get the flaps set to the automatic position because I don't need 25 flaps anymore. Let's come screaming in high speed. Yes, that is the jettison station select. I thought it was like a wheel to set up like combat or fuels or whatever, but apparently what you're doing is you're about to select which station you want to jettison, which is a bad thing. Okay, so weapons off. That's fun. Low drags enabled. I forgot to turn on my RWR and all of my other cool bits. Okay. Much better. Not the gunning, not the gunnery, just the effect on target. Fuse. I have no idea what NTD and Nose Tail D1. Let's start with that. Auto. Fuse. DSL, nope. CCIP? CCIP, let's do that, because I know how CCIP looks. I will in a moment. Let's drop a few more. Let's see if I can let's clean the bird up a little bit more with some CCIP bombing. So let's get me up to a good 10 thou. Alrighty then. See, now that I know how to employ weapons, this simulator just became a whole lot more exciting. Okay, rolling over. Target visible. And we are going to... I'm going to set this up for pairs. 2 pairs, 10 milliseconds apart. And that should, if I've done this right, drop everything on the rail. That should drop them all. Okay. So we're going to pull on down. Use that to gain myself a bit of speed, because these are, after all, snake eyes, so I need to do this nice and low. In the pop, and dropped all of them. Yes! And this thing absolutely leaped off the rail there. By the way, this plane has now suddenly become a beast. Like, I shit you not, that was like the most hugest change in capability and speed I've seen. That was amazing. Not £1,000. Mark 82s are £500 bombs, digital. Your Mark 83s are £1,000. Mark 84s, which the AV8 cannot carry, I believe, are Mark 84s. Hope that cleans a few things up for you. Let's go around for the gun run. Still throwing flares at me after all. Alright, lined up. Off target. Now the only thing I need to get used to is me having to manually press the flares and chaff release buttons. There may be an automated. Basher, what gave me CCIP symbology was not using the weapons jettison selector and instead pressing the buttons along the top row here for weapon selection stations. Turns out when you don't act like a retard, you get your weapons back. And when you press gun, again, you can change it to SA mode. What I'm now listening at is not the sidewinder, it is the side arm. The side arm is a very poor man's, hastily expedited anti-radiation missile, short range. And I would not normally choose to put it up against an SA6, but we shall give it a crack, because there's one right on my nose. And the idea would be destroy the radar and then roll in with rock eyes or something like that. In fact, if you see that... There we go, got a lock. We saw where it pointed, so I'll send another one that way. get myself in the pop again. Roll over. Just passed over it. It's quite fun throwing chaff and flares out for days. It's almost got as much as ice. It's got more than the F-16 that does, that's for sure. You don't feel quite so bad about doing it. Okay, so there's another one on my nose. See, the only thing with this guy here is it does not give you an appreciation of range. So there's the gun range over there. I bet there's an SA-6 parked right inside it. Or just off of it. Or maybe it's guarding the airfield and I've just shot down a friendly, but AAA. That's a stupid idea. The speed at which you go through this range compared to the A-10's one is... it's impressive. I'll give them that, like. Must admit, I do feel like quite a boss right now. Like a sir. Okay, I think I can see the dot there on the screen, which is DCS's way of saying, Harry, over here. Let's get the thing turned around and pointed at this AAA site. And hopefully its radar will show up nice and... oops. Turn on the jammer. See how effective it is. Right, so I think I see where the guy is. I'm going to come out from a bit more of a range here. Ooh, he's shut down his AAA or someone's killed him. And that's what happens if you fire it at something that doesn't exist yet. Well, it's just me and my gun now. Okay, we're going to pitch up. I'm going to burl around, and we're going to point this thing at something I don't like the look of. Those two guys at the end of the range, they can die first. Ooh dear. That was a little close. It's a mirage around here. And we'll pitch around, we'll fly a little bit more. 2,800 pounds, I'm getting thereabouts. Let's get the jet propeller to not overheat. Okay. Humvee there. You're the next guy to die. Oh, dead man running. That's fine. That's fine. You can just start traveling away off the out trying to get out the range. You'll just die tired. That's okay. Okay, just keeping myself padlocked on that guy, so I can set myself up for a good run. And throttle back, kick round, and pull. This thing can really haul the mail when it wants to, man. Track IR, why you hate me so much? So much hate for the track IR. Well, moving targets are not on the cards right now, I guess. So from that smoke, we'll come out, we'll give ourselves a little bit more space. I've only got enough for a very, very short, small, detailed run, so let's once again haul the stick, pull the throttle back, and find myself a contact. There we are. Nicholas, I would have had the fuel. And if my track IR stopped messing with me. Hits. Good hits. Fuck you, Mr. Shilka. For some reason you're not fighting me, and I don't care. Time to get the bugger out of here. Apparently we have snow. 110 or 120? 120. Okay, so let's try this again. Flaps to takeoff landing, gear down this time. Indeed. Say hello to the say hello to Mrs. Ghost Dog. She's dealing with a dodgy knee right now, so that was probably not the smartest idea trying to climb around me, but that's fine. Cyborg gets the same airframe. The major difference is the Sea Harrier does have an air-to-air radar for sidewinders and possibly Skyflash or AMRAAMs later on in its life. I can't remember. Okay, let's get some nozzle position here. Let's get a lot of nozzle position. There we go. Get my ass properly committed here. And we'll turn on the H2O for landing, see as we're light enough for it. Now, the H2O will only work once we get to ridiculous temperatures, which will happen much more readily at this area. That guy is planning on taking off, I presume, so I will move for the taxi ramps. Okay, let's consider that. Let's continue the nozzle angle. Raise the power. And more power. Oh dear, that's a little more power than I wanted. Ooh. I'm dead. Cut the power, cut the power, power cut. Nailed it! Okay, Stan. Cyborg, I have no idea. Typically things go in open beta for less than a month and more than a week. I think they're going to have plenty of training at the moment for Mechalus. So, let me see if I can throw myself on. Yeah, let's try a single. Let's try Mark 20s now. That I'm not being a total retard. Gun pod, please. Let's give the Let's give the targeting pod a go for the underside as well. See if I can get a bit more use out of them. And I want to carry more rockets than just 8. That was fun, but more is fun. More is more fun, right? And we'll use those as well. They're both the same, right? Heat and oh, HE, nope. Make them the same, please. I mean, I'm sure it wouldn't affect things too much ballistically, but I don't want to take the chance. And just in case the targeting pods are a complete fail, let's try my first attempt at using. Yes, Cyborg, all the DCS modules that are half decent do indeed have that, which makes them awesome. So once the loadout there is finished getting done, put a lightning pod under the middle there, gun pods on either side. I love being able to do that. Put a couple of IR Mavericks on the insides there. Boom, boom. And then on the left and right middle board stations, we've got 19 packs of rockets on each one. That should be fun. And then the outers, I've got a pair of rock eyes with the name of something that I don't like the look of on it. This is an all air-to-ground loadout, so I won't have to worry about messing around with air-to-air ordnance. Cyborg, the F-15C does not have a clickable cockpit, but at the same time, it's a great way of getting into running fighters. However, it just depends what you're into. The Su-25 is air to ground, and the F-15 is most certainly not. So, give it some thought as to what you prefer to fly with. If you prefer air to air, then yeah, go for the F-15, 100%. If you want to try, if you like the idea of smashing things on the ground, then you definitely want to not do that. Cyborg, the TV on the Su-25T is crap and dangerous. It is not a targeting pod, but I think the problem that a lot of people have is they try to use it like one. It is an aiming device for the Vickers and for other things. When you use it like this, you will no longer be perplexed. Don't think of it as a targeting pod, think of it as an aiming device. A long-range telescope, if you will. I get it. Warning. Cool. Let's get the generator on then. Trick is Cyborg is you don't use it at flying speed, you use it at diving speed. Get yourself you give yourself a really long setup, very shallow dive, pick out your target and fire, and you follow it all the way in. With a targeting pod, you would probably fire and then do some sort of safe escape and move away. It's not for that. The TV is more designed for the Vickers, so you have to. It's an optically guided weapon. You have to follow it all the way up to point of contact. Once it explodes, then you can do your safe escape. In a frogfoot, you'll almost always be overflying your target, so that's why it gets to carry a lot of flares. You pump flares like mad on the run in and on the way out. You probably only will find yourself doing a handful of weapon systems, weapon drops. So just bear that in mind. You don't want to be necessarily filling all the pylons with junk. Just because you can doesn't mean you say you should. Okay, there we go. Yes, the trick with the frogfoot is don't rely on the TV pod for anything other than an aiming device for things like the Vickers or the laser guided KH-12, the laser guided bomb, the rocket thing. It's a laser aiming device. Okay, everything else is done optically. You drop your bombs, everything is done manually, rockets and everything else. So don't worry about it. And if you like engaging armored contacts, the F-15 will bore the shit out of you. I would say instead, if you wanted to do air-to-ground work, and you wanted to do something, you want to spend your money on something other than the F-15, if you really want to do a variety of weapons, consider the MiG-29. The model for the flight model isn't great, but it's meant to be getting worked on. Or the Su-27 and the Su-33, which are feature complete. They carry dumb bombs, they carry rockets, and you can do air to ground. It's not exactly multi-role, but it's a little closer. If you want a multi-role plane, beware the ones that call themselves multi-role planes until you've seen the weapons loadout. Most multi-store planes are jack of all trades and master of none, I'm afraid. Nice. So these buttons up along the top here, this is how you select weapons. Good to know, right? Cyborg, it is a great cockpit. It works well, and considering this is like day one release, it works beautifully. That's a strange one, Nicholas. And it's news to me, I'm afraid. Sorry, I can't help you with that one, buddy. Okay, let's get the canopy all shut up and let's clear these caution warning systems. Caution warning, no go. Oops. it's probably been bombed full of people trying to, play this. Ow. Nipped in the ear by my headphones. That's less than comfortable. Right, in about 5 minutes of time, apparently the server is going to be shutting down. So I'm going to do a quick takeoff, a quick fly around their base, see what I can use, see if I can get these rock eyes to finally do what they're told. We are just going to hope and pray a lot. Well, I've reached a dead end because of my inability to taxi correctly. So let's make the most of this and set ourselves up for a vertical. Too heavy. Way too heavy. Server's down. He's shutting down. Oh well. That was a lot of fun actually. I'm going to take a short break for about an hour or so, do a little bit more reading, see if there's anything else I can pick up on how to make things work, and then I'll maybe be back later on this afternoon. But for now, thanks for having me, and I hope some of you found at least a lesson on what not to do just as much as finding out how to do it, I guess. I will catch you all sometime after now. Oh, Mechlis, thank you. No, it's not a problem. I'm always happy to help with these things. And hopefully we'll see you some more later, now that I'm starting to get the hang of dropping weapons.